tell me what we're looking at here.
All
Very
right.
cinematic.
Yes, and if you've been around in the community for a while, you might recognize this as a shot by our good friend Lucian. I'm trying to
Yeah, I see that.
find his post again to make sure I get whatever caption he had with it. Um, Struggling to find that, but he is a UK photographer and does wonderful landscapes.
Wow, it's just, your cinematic photograph of the clouds just really do a wonderful feeling of, yes. The moodiness, it does a couple of things. It adds a mood to the whole photograph. Um, and it also gives a nice layer behind the castle. And of course, you've got leading lines leading right to the door there. And that is a cool thing that my eye is going right to that. It's it's a cinematic, but it's also a whole painting feeling. It could easily have been a painting and may possibly have been one at some point. So you're using a lot of tools. I love the fact that the front of the castle is lit up and the black clouds against it. There's contrast there. There's um, you've got framing with the landscape there. Um, so one thing, just from a processing standpoint, you could work on the edging of your landscape. It looks like you did a mask there, and yeah, so just work on that. Just clean that up so we don't see that, because that's the only thing. Just from a technical standpoint, my eye kind of goes that. I go, whoa, okay. So that'll just make it so we're not seeing the edge of the mask, and that can be very tedious when you're in Lightroom or Photoshop. But it's just part of the technique. So that's just one minor thing. You can fix that up. But overall, that's a really cool shot. There's the flag at the top of the castle also, which is another kind of a punctuation point, which is cool. We've talked about that. So good work. Awesome. And
All
we
right. And this one is from our good friend Chris Mason. This musician was playing beautifully in a wonderful style that matched the several centuries old building he was playing in. This was shot as a three handheld bracket to eliminate the overexposed reflection of the lamp on the piano and picture frame in what was a very low lit room with high dynamic range from the lamp.
This is a good one, and it's color, isn't it? I mean, it's muted color. I think you pulled the saturation down, but there is a bit of a. If you look at the painting behind him, there's a little bit of color in there. I would suggest. I mean, I get, it's almost like a sepia, which is fine, but I would suggest just going pure black and white. And I might even say bring it down a little bit. If it was that dark, maybe just bring it down a little bit and get the feeling of that natural. Well, it isn't natural light. It's all pretty much coming out of that one light fixture there. But, it's got, I like the elements of the geometry of the piano, and it's interesting, his jacket is a more modern, yeah, kind of stripe, kind of big stripes, which is interesting also from contrast. But I would just say, let's try it as a black and white. And I think it'll just move it a little bit further. And also, if it was really dark, let's just see, let it come back to maybe how it looked where you were shooting it, and just maybe bring it down a little bit. Those would just be my two suggestions. But what I like about it is I get a really strong feeling of the environment that you're in. It is an environmental portrait, which means that the piano player is in his environment. He's not standing in front of a blank wall or something. So it is a form of an environmental portrait, and it has a lot of different elements in it. So good work.
All right. This is our good friend Sue Rainey,
I knew that
our
was
good
Sue.
Idaho friend. We were driving over Trail Creek Summit out of Sun Valley when I spotted several moose. Very interesting creatures.
What's the plural of moose? Meese?
I think it is just moose. I feel like
Mooses.
moose, if I
Moosei.
remember correctly, yeah, it's one of those nonsense words that is like, is it the
It's not
same
meese,
plural
I
and
guess.
yeah,
Anyway, you've got a single moose, and it's the water dripping out of its mouth is very interesting. And you framed it well in the middle of all this greenery. There's your brown moose. It's a portrait. You've taken a portrait of this moose, and technically it's an environmental portrait. So this is a good one, Sue. That works out really well. Yeah, they're interesting creatures, aren't they? And they can be dangerous because they can charge at you. So you got to kind of be aware of that. But I
and
get
massive
you you're far enough back. What was that?
and massive. They're
And
huge.
massive. Yeah, they're not very smart. So
No,
you want to stay out of their way.
definitely.
But good one, and it definitely captures the moment with this moose in Sun Valley. Good one, Sue.
All right.
Please subscribe and enable the bell so you don't miss any of our new shows. Like the video and please share it and leave your comments. I love hearing from you. And remember to get out and capture your own images of life.